And we're back here. So this next part is all about your MIDI real-time properties. What is Professor Lopez talking about? I'm talking about this thing in our track view selector that we haven't really talked about. It's this one right here, real-time properties. Let's select it, and you'll see that the only place that it shows up is on our instrument track. It only shows up on MIDI enabled tracks. That includes MIDI tracks just to prove myself here, prove myself worthy. Is that you can see that these same things come up. So what is this? Veltrin? What is this, like some secret coded language? And it is, but you can probably guess what these things mean. This first one is quantization. This next one is duration. The one below is delay. This one is velocity. And this one's a little harder, but it's transposing or transposition. Okay. Or pitch, changing the pitch of the track. So what does this mean? So let me just play like a simple melodic line, and I'll just kind of show you how you can apply all these to your needs. So I'm gonna play this track and record a line. I'm gonna do it. Well, you'll just see. So here we go. Now I can look on my grid here and see that, this one's a little late, this one's really late, this one's early, right? This one's early, and I can see that that is, normal, and it's not it's fairly easy to do, not to be totally on the grid. But if we were just to engage this quantization, see how the notes move as soon as I turn on that real-time property quantization. This allows you to toggle on and off your actual performance and the quantization that you had. Not only that, you can set your quantization value in this real-time properties window to eighth note, so it'll quantize to an eighth note, and then your performance will really change from that point on. You can also add a swing to it. The swing is at 100% right here. So you can hear a little bit of lilt to that swing value. But you can also add your same functionalities, your rhythm functionalities that you can in the quantization window, your rhythmic templates, I should say. So this is very, very helpful. You can do dotted eighth notes. You can do, dotted sixteenths. And if you just turn it off, it'll go back to the original performance. So this is a really, really helpful tool for adjusting MIDI on the fly. Now, if I perform this in with this on, it will automatically set it to this quantization function. So I'm going to set this to eighth note and then re-record this just to show you that if you have this on, the quantization will be automatically applied. Here we go. And if we're looking at the notes here, you can see that the quantization is automatically applied with the swing value on it. Now we can turn the swing all the way off, and you can see that everything gets pulled right to the grid if you want it really, really synced up. That's something to be aware of in these real-time properties windows, is that the default is typically not always what you want. You will have to customize them. That's one of them with the quantization window. You want to turn that swing all the way down if you want it to snap to your grid. But sometimes a little bit of that swing can add a little, can add that original quality back to your track. Awesome. Next is duration. This is one you definitely will want to change. So there's this drop-down menu that's a little hidden, and all these different types. I won't go over every single one, but the default one is this add, meaning whatever duration you set in this part of the duration window, it will add that amount to whatever you performed in, right? So if you're right on the grid and you set this to, to have like 500 ticks added to it, it'll add 500 ticks to the duration of whatever note you pressed. Okay. That can be a good and bad thing. But it's just something to be aware of. So there's the add function. Now, if you do set to, they will make all the durations the same length, right? So every note you play in is going to be the exact same note, exact same duration that can be selected from here. So we can go all the way down to, 64th notes, and then all the way up to half note or whole notes, and then anything in between, right? And that's set to the equals. Subtract, you can imagine. Percentage, you can imagine whatever percentage you play, whatever note you played, it would be a percentage of that. There's this legato and gaps and legato overlap. I'll allow you guys to experiment with those ones. But it will automatically set it to it. So what I would probably do for this one is maybe set all the notes to be, I don't know, quarter notes. And so that when I play this back in, all the durations will be exactly the same. Oh, for some reason it's not wanting to do that. Let's see, let's switch it back to ticks. Sometimes there's just a glitch in the matrix, as you guys have seen. There's add, set to. Turn it on and off. So strange. We're going to call that another glitch in our Pro Tools window here, unless I'm doing something completely strange, which I don't believe I am. So that's our duration. And then delay is exactly what it sounds like. You would be delaying your initial performance. With all these quantizations and all these other parts of your real-time properties engaged. So let's put it all the way down to this swing all the way down to 0 so you can see the delay happening. And I'm going to zoom in here. See, right now they're right on the grid. Now, if I were to change this to like a millisecond value, which is I like to do, I have it set to 20 milliseconds. You can see it's shifted 20 milliseconds off the grid, right? If I change this and make this go higher, I'm just clicking and dragging, that millisecond value will affect where those notes are placed. This is really nice for adding a little bit of a little drag in a melody line. It can add a little tension, some cool things to do in production. Let's hear what it sounds like with a little bit of a little late, little behind the beat on this melody. So just a little bit can add a little tension to the track, which is fun to play with. This next one is velocity. Now this one's a little weird. Your dynamics. This allows you to play within the dynamic range of your MIDI, which is 0 to 127. At 100%, that means you have your whole dynamic range of your audio, and then this is this is the offset of your velocity, meaning if you are setting it to a particular spot, then it'll offset it by a particular MIDI value. So I'm going to go to velocity just so you can see this. And if I were to change this, you can see how everything becomes offset to what I performed in. Now, if I go above this line, you can see that it can go far above and enter into the loudest section pretty easily without going too high. So just understand like where this offset is, what this offset is doing. This is not your MIDI value. So what I would be tempted to do is do something like, oh, 90, you know, a velocity of 90 is usually pretty good, right? But I find that it's actually offsetting it by 90 MIDI velocities, which is not what we want. So something to consider is like maybe you want to be like, oh, I want to record this all at around 75% of my velocity, and then offset it from there by a certain amount, right? So when you go to perform something and record it, it's in a specific ballpark for your velocity units. So it stays within that range of your velocity. So a little offset there. This one is a really great one. This next one is great for those of you that are maybe you brought in a sample that's in a strange key like E flat or B flat, and you're not so comfortable playing in that key on piano. You want to play something very specific, but you can play it really well in the key of C. This is where the transposition would be really, really helpful. So this track is in D. But let's say I wanted to perform it in C. Well, I can transpose my performance to be 2 whole steps higher than what I perform in. Now, if I play what I have in here at this with this value, it'll just sound out of key. Right, just a little off, especially in a major key, is not going to sound very good. But if I play this in C now, it's going to sound as if it's in D. I swear to you, I'm playing my C triad here. Let's record this in. And that allows you to record in different octaves and different transpositions. So you could potentially play everything just using white keys, and then transpose it with that. You can also do it after the fact. Even if you recorded this days ago, you can pull this up and transpose it on the fly. Along with any of these. So this is really helpful to if we want to hear what the original recording sounded like and the rhythm that we played it at, we can just turn all these off. There you can really hear that that down a whole step C major chord, but we turn the transposition on. And maybe quantize it. And maybe delay it a little bit. And then we can kind of get the sense of what we want to accomplish with that melody, right? Now you can do this in another spot that gives you a little even more flexibility. If you go into your event window and then go all the way down to MIDI real-time properties, it brings up a window that looks blank. But all that means, anytime you get a window that looks like there's nothing happening here, there's a drop-down menu, there's nothing that's selected. That just means, yeah, you should probably select something. So it's going to switch us to clips, select it, and now, voila, we have all our same quantization functions that we have here, right? Now, what this allows you to do is to add a little more customization to it. So instead of just a straight up quantization with a swing feel, we can actually access some of those things that we see in our quantize menu and do our tuplets. Or do our offset here, do our strength, any other things that we see in our quantize window we can do from this real-time properties window. We can do duration, delay, all this good stuff. The fun part about this is that you can write this to the clip and then make an entirely new clip out of it. Just select the track and then use the and then select write to clip. I would do this only towards the end of a production if you're really, really satisfied with the performance. You can apply this real-time properties and write it to the clip. A couple more things to go about this. Let's actually do this. I think we got about the same thing that we'd want here. Yeah, let's write this to the clip. And we can see that everything was done. Now, can we undo this? You can undo writing real-time properties to your clip, which is very, very, very helpful. Remember, some of those things we can't undo is we can't undo adding inserts or removing inserts, deleting tracks, opening and closing Pro Tools, some things like that we can't undo. But this one we can. But everything that we've gone over in the quantize window, excuse me, everything we've gone over in the quantize window, we can access here with a couple extra features, and then also have it applied to the MIDI track immediately. Unfortunately, there's nothing like this for audio. We have to apply it to the track first before we can hear it. But with real-time properties, we can do it in real time, which is great on any MIDI-enabled track, so instrument tracks or MIDI tracks. Okay. I hope this was useful to you guys. If you have any questions about this, we can discuss them in my office hours if you'd like. But stick around for the next one as we take a dive into chapter 7 in the 110 book. All right, guys. See you soon.